Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to have my friend on the show, Alan Koenig from Ask4 Entertainment. Alan is a great guy. He is doing great stuff for the music community, not only the music community, but like so many different communities. And I wanted to have you on here today to chat about the cruise life, charter cruises, and I can relate to the Shiprocked one, of course. But I know a lot of people go on different types of cruises. So I wanted to just talk to you about like what it takes, what's it all about, getting an idea in your head to go, I want to put a festival out in the middle of the ocean. How do you do that?
Well, the short version of the long story is that I was a music manager for, almost 14 years at a artist management company. And I had run a couple of different events for one of my artists, a golf tournament, and we did a poker tournament. And then towards the end of that, we did a couple of cruises. And I had so much fun running events and promoting those. And the cruise especially was fun. The other short version of the long story is that back in 2003, I won a trip to England to go see a private concert at Peter Gabriel's recording studio.
Sweet.
And it was only 100 people, I think. And I mean, the concert was great. I'm a massive Peter Gabriel fan, but I'm also sort of a jaded industry guy after so many years. And so there, there was a meet and greet before the show in the studio, and that was fine. I met him, shook his hand, said hello. Didn't feel like much of a fan.
Right.
And got in the studio. The concert was great. But the best part of that whole trip was hanging out in the hotel room afterwards with all these other people that had come from all over the world. And just that community feeling, that experience of hanging out with other people and actually starting to feel like a fan, talking music, talking lives and that sort of thing. So I re-experienced that again when we did the first cruise with this artist that I worked with. And I thought, you know what, man, that's something I'd like to do because it helped me to feel more connected to the music again. And it was fun, and I enjoyed the work part of it too.
That's awesome. So and I was reading up about you too. I know that you, like you said, you were in music management, and then you had the idea, obviously, to go out on a limb and start your own deal. And I remember, I think the first time we met you was in 2010, and that's when you came to a show of ours. We played Nashville at the Exit Inn, and we had been asked to do Shiprocked. And at the time, we had never heard of it. All I knew was it was a awesome name for a rock boat. It's genius. And we never heard of it. And we'd only done one cruise prior to that, and that was a VH1 cruise. And we loved it. And then we heard, wait a second here, this is like a different deal. This is, more rock bands and stuff like that. This is going to be pretty cool. We came on Shiprocked that first time, and I think it was November of 2010.
I think that's
Was that the second Shiprocked?
Yeah, second year.
Yeah, and I remember it was a half charter.
It was a half ship. We had done the cruise that I did with the artist that I managed, we did as a half. And the financing is substantially different when you do a half or a large group than it is when you charter a ship. There's substantially more risk to take over the whole ship. So I kind of wanted to grow into it. I started my company in the fall of 2008, right after the housing bubble burst, so the economy was in the tank. And I thought, all right, well, I'm gonna power through this. So we did Shiprocked for the first couple of years as a half, first 3 years, and then went to a charter after that. But yeah, you guys were on the second sailing.
Yeah, and I gotta say, it's so incredibly amazing to see. Like from our experience on the second one, our first time being on there, but the second Shiprocked, to what it is now, where it essentially sells out in advance. Like you don't even have to lift any artists.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the timing was right for an event like ours. The rock community is a really close-knit. I think, as you know, the rock community is a really close-knit group of people. And especially those that are I think it's probably one of the last groups that really is still engaged with the music itself. I mean, there's a bazillion festivals now, but some of the bigger ones, I think a lot of times it's more about I guess the experience of being there, and versus the music itself. And as much as people tell me that Shiprocked has become that, where it's about the experience and the community and all that sort of stuff, they're still very connected to the music, and music is a very important part of what we do. I tell my staff every year when we've sold out, even without having a lineup, and I was like, yep, but we still got to nail the lineup. Still about the music. It's still about the lineup.
You can't just depend on people because of the reputation that Shiprocked has. You as the captain can't say, oh well, we've sold out. We can kind of phone it in, and and that's great, and people appreciate that, and that's why it continues to sell out, because people have that confidence, I think, in what you all do.
Yeah, we're pretty humbled by that. I am, especially. I think we owe it to that community to bring them, to deliver a great lineup and a great program too, not just the music part of it, but everything else that we do. Yeah. We've seen how this community has really grown and gotten tighter and tighter over the years, and they spend good money to go on this little booze cruise that I throw, with a bunch of hands. So I feel, a responsibility to them to make sure that we do our best work in terms of trying to deliver, a quality week. It's their vacation. I mean, that's the other thing I never forget about this, is it's not just a festival, it's a vacation. And so we try to really make it feel like a fun and rewarding time for them. And so, like I said, I think we owe it to them. We have a responsibility to them every year to try to keep it affordable, bring on acts they want to see, give them lots of fun events and activities, in addition to the music, and try to mix it up, and different ships and different ports, and make it not. I would never want it to be a stagnant or rehashed feeling kind of a thing. I mean, we're getting ready to do our 12th cruise in January, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that, of mixing it up and keeping it fresh every year.
And what I think is cool is that you all announce the next cruise on the first day of the current cruise. I think that's genius, and a lot of people don't understand maybe the planning that probably, or a lot of people think, it's January and they're already announcing the next cruise, the boat, the destinations. How long does it take? What's behind the scenes of that? It's not just like, oh, I have an idea, let's throw one out there on the water.
It gets earlier and earlier every year. We're lucky now that we can announce the next cruise. We've been able to do that, I think, the last 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
And part of that is just the business. I mean, the cruise industry up until this latest fund that we're in,
right,
really, really strong. And so if I wanted to rent a ship and not have to pay a boatload of money, pardon the pun,
sure,
to be able to do that, then I had to get it as far in advance as I possibly could. So, for instance, the 2021 cruise coming up in January, I've had that ship chartered probably since last February, so February of 19. So, I mean, it's about a 2-year lead on renting ships. This year's a little different. 22 we're still working on, but I'm working on 22 already. So, sure, we'll have it done before we sail again, so we can announce. And the other reason for that too, honestly, is it allows us to put it up on sale as quickly as we can, and doing that gives guests longer to pay it out.
Right.
The more monthly payments we have, the less hard it is on them from a financial perspective. So again, that's part of that responsibility I feel like we have, which is, hey man, if we can put this thing on sale even without a lineup and people know they want to go, then it makes their year a little easier financially to be able to do that.
Right, and like you said, it is their vacation, and I think sometimes, like even as an artist, like if you book a band, as an artist, it's a tour. It's a tour date. You go and do it, and for us, it's an even a vacation. But it's something to never forget that the fans that are on there, they've saved up an entire year, and that might be the only thing they do, even as a family, for that year. Yeah. They do it all because it literally is. There's something for everybody, and the music that you all put on there is obviously. It's newer bands, but then you have like Living Color on there, and you throw in some of the classic stuff, which is cool, and that's why you guys own the ocean as far as music goes. In the rock music world, I think that's fantastic.
The music cruise industry is a lot bigger than it used to be. I mean, when I started, I think there were plenty of other music cruises. There's been I think Delbert McClinton's had one longer than anybody.
Right.
But there's jazz cruises, and there's some jam bands and a few other cruises that have been around longer than us, blues cruises.
Yeah.
But the music cruise industry was really, like I said, I think timing was a big part of our success, and that I got into it right as it became kind of a real thing. Yeah, I mean, we try really hard to mix it up. I mean, I'm a music fan. Again, that was the reason I decided to do this, was I wanted to really, it gives me an opportunity to feel like a fan, so I can book bands that I know everyone will love, that I love, and if they're older bands like Living Colour or Candlebox or Filter or Fuel. I mean, in the early days, we even had some of the older 80s stuff, But
yeah, I think the first one we were on, Vince Neil was on there.
Yeah.
And Tesla, I think maybe.
Tesla, I think, was on that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love music, and I think rock is a big umbrella. It's a big tent.
Yeah, it is.
And there's there's some music out there they call rock now that I don't know I would consider to be rock, but
sure.
It's the genreification of music is a weird thing to me. But I think in terms of really great live rock bands, it's a big tent. It's a big umbrella. So, I mean, I think there's room for, all different kinds of things. I mean, we had a band on this last year with you guys called We Are Band Nerds, which was just an outfit out of Dallas that I found. And they rap, but it's a rock band, I mean, It's very much a melding of that rap rock thing. I guess there's a few other acts doing that now, too. But that's, I mean, even been around since you think about like the, who was it? Run DMC and Aerosmith, and I mean, there's lots of the meld of rap and rock. So, but yeah, I thought they fit in fine. In a band from Nashville, I think you guys know, called Goodbye June.
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't consider them a hard rock band by any means, but it's one of the most rocking bands I've ever seen live. I mean, they're just great. You guys too. I mean, there's just a really wonderful assortment and variety of rock music, and I wish I could have every band on every year, because I'm a junkie, and I want to be able to bring as much as I can, but
hey, you do what you're doing what you're doing, and you literally are. It's a floating festival at sea. It's rock, but it's different branches of rock, which I think people appreciate too. But you all do. Your company is not beyond Shiprocked. Maybe some people might not understand or know even that you all do all types of different cruises.
Yeah, we've done a few over the years. We had Motorhead and Slayer and Anthrax and Hatebreed and a bunch of that world, and unfortunately Lemmy passed
right.
in when it was 14, it was right after, or 15, right after we did the second one.
Right.
So yeah, we probably would have continued with that, had Lemmy not passed. We thought about reviving it, but we just it didn't feel right. But we've also done, so we did a couple cruises with Motorhead. We did an old school hip hop cruise called Ship Hop with Salt and Peppa and Naughty by Nature and Coolio and Tone Loc and
I love it.
Biz Markie. It was just a cool mix of old hip hop and then this last 2 years, we've actually done a couple sports cruises. We did a University of Alabama Crimson Tide cruise for a couple of years, just bringing on former Tide players and cheerleader and band, and it was like a big pep rally at sea. A big tailgate party on a ship.
That's great.
And we had hoped to do that, and we were expanding to add the University of Florida, but then the COVID dropped, and we thought, well, we'll table that for a year and circle back to it. But
right.
But yeah, so we got Shiprocked for sure still in January.
Yeah, and I was going to ask too, where I know different cruise lines are starting to come out now and say, we plan to start up, So that was my question. Like, you being in this line of business, doing events, are you feeling any? I mean, as obviously the music community is definitely feeling it because we can't do anything.
Yeah.
You as a promoter, you can't necessarily book something right now confidently for this year anyway, knowing, hey, nobody's booking a show right now for June. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
And as a band, we want to go out and play, but we don't know how. Nobody knows. So we know how it's affecting bands. We're all kind of like peeping through the window, waiting for somebody to say, "Yeah, it's good to go." And then even then, it's like, well, is it?
Yeah.
You want to take safety steps and do it smartly, But I was going to ask how your company is kind of dealing with it and trying to navigate through this weird time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think one of the things I think about this virus that's most unfortunate is just that, and obviously it's a terrible virus and it's super contagious, but I think the bigger for me personally, and this is nothing having to do with business or whatever, it's just personally, it's unfortunate to me that the fear has become such a big part of the fear and the uncertainty. Right. And I mean, it's not that it's not warranted to a certain degree, but I think the uncertainty, especially, being that we're still figuring this thing out,
Yeah.
But I mean, we're blessed. I mean, I can't even tell you how blessed I am that the timing worked out the way it did for us, because we sailed, first week of February before all this stuff really took off, and we don't sail again until January. And I think, we're cautiously optimistic, probably more than cautiously optimistic that we're going to be fine and that we're going to sail in January. The cruise lines are starting to open back up here in, I think, August.
Right.
They're going to slow roll out and, not have their full inventory of ship sailing and that sort of thing. So, I mean, not to sound crass, but it's, we let them test everything out and get it all working right.
let them go out there and figure it out.
That's right. We'll let the little guinea pigs have a few months, and then we'll be ready to go in January. But there was a long debate about, when do we go on sale? I mean, we had announced it, and, we knew we wanted to try to go on sale as quickly as we could. We actually delayed the on sale a little bit, just because of the uncertainty and of everything, and people were being impacted financially. And, there came a point where we thought, all right, well, look, a couple things. One is we know people want something to look forward to. And I think, we can provide that, in addition to, we knew that a lot of people were affected financially, either losing their jobs or being laid off or whatever.
Sure.
And, so we wanted to try to figure out a way to go on sale and make it easy. So we worked on a few things and, reduced our deposits and extended payments and that sort of thing. And it worked out, I think, well. But we also got to a point where we knew if we were going to have a cruise in January, we didn't want to make it harder on people. So we didn't want to wait too long to go on sale, because then it would have just made their monthly payments that much more. And so we went on sale, and again, blessed that, we have this incredible community of people who I think are all very ready to see live music again. I mean, all the festivals that they go to throughout the course of the year and the shows they go see, they're not happening this year. So, I think they were very excited to book the cruise, and as of today, I think we're almost 92% sold out.
I mean, that just goes to show you that, that's incredible.
I'm blown away. I mean, I guess I'm kind of not surprised, just knowing this community and how much they love each other and how much they love the music and love the cruise. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty surprised that we got that far, and we're on a new ship. We're on a bigger ship. Oh, so we would have actually, had we been on the same ship as last year, we would have sold out before we even went up on sale for the public. Wow. So, that blows my mind.
Shiprocked could very well be one of the first things back, in January. I hope it is. I
mean, I guess I like, it sounds cool, but I hope that there's other stuff before me. And
Yeah, I mean, that would be, we all do, right? I mean, I wish I was playing. I was supposed to be on tour right now.
I know. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my basement wearing a captain's hat. I don't hate it, though. I don't hate it.
Man, I feel for you guys, and especially the road guys, the crew.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this is a tough time for everybody, but, I don't know. I'm generally a pretty optimistic person.
Sure.
And I think that, I think we'll get through the uncertainty. I think as people start to get back, to the new normal, whatever that may be, they're going to ache for entertainment and music. And I think that, I think there'll be big concerts, festivals, stadium kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't, thank God I'm not in that world. I mean, I have my cruise, and obviously we're doing everything we can on our end to work with the cruise line, because obviously everybody's, in a ship, and I'll go off a little bit here. Ships are never the problem. The ships are inanimate objects.
Yeah.
People are the problem.
Absolutely.
In terms of spreading microbes, we've been battling microbes since the dawn of time. And that'll never stop. I mean, that's going to continue to happen. But I'm optimistic and frankly excited about some of the things that the cruise lines are doing and working on it to make their facilities that much more safe. But it all comes down to the people. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're going to do everything we can to, with our community of guests to encourage them to take whatever precautions they can. Don't sneeze in people's faces and, fist bumps or elbow bumps instead of, big sloppy drunk hugs. But,
common courtesy.
It's gonna, yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen, and you can't stop every bug, but you can sure do everything you can to try to minimize the spread, I guess.
Absolutely. And you mentioned ship different cruise lines. Are you? I know that you all were was it 2019? You were Carnival's charter partner of the year, right?
Yeah, they were. It was very sweet, and
awesome.
Again, humbled to have been awarded that. But they do a thing every year where they have different awards for travel partners, and so they gave us the travel partner of the year in 2019. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So do you as a company try to mostly stick with them, or is it like when you put together a cruise and you go to book it, do you kind of just see what's available, per ship size, what cruise lines are, how does that work?
We have a great working relationship with Carnival, but we're not under any kind of long-term contract or anything like that. We shop, look, it's free market world, and
sure.
that we live in, that if there's an opportunity to book a ship that might have something more to offer, or, is more affordable, or just gives us a change of pace too. Again, we try to keep things mixed up. We talk to all the cruise lines, and we have great friends and relationships at all the various cruises. We've been on 3 with Shiprocked. We've had MSC, and then we were on Norwegian, and now we're on Carnival. Yeah. But we look around every year and try to find what we think will work best, both financially and for the program itself.
And when you book the cruise too, when you like a certain cruise line, let's say it's with Norwegian or Carnival, whoever, and you say, okay, we want these dates. Do you have much input on like the destinations, or is that kind of like, well, the ship can sail to these places on these dates?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times the dates we generally like to sail between mid-January and mid-February. Just right. We feel like that's our sweet spot.
Yeah.
And so we reach out and we get possibles from them. The other thing that changes things up too is they move ships around. A lot of times you might have a certain ship that's in one city, and the next year it's going to be in a different city in terms of where they depart from. There's also a certain class of ship, certain size, type of facility that works better for what we do. Not every cruise ship is built for a music festival to be on it, especially a big rock one like we do. And so when we look around, we look at those, which ship works. Where is it going to be based that year, and then what are the windows? We're also competing with other programs now too. So a lot of times there's other charters that have other music festivals or other themed programs, and so there's a lot of us that are battling for the same inventory. But yeah, once we lock in a date, during that negotiation, there's a discussion about ports, and sometimes the port that they may have on the sailing that's already there works. Sometimes we change it up, like this last year, the one you were on, we did not have Key West on the itinerary for that originally. Originally, it was just going to be I think Cozumel, and it might have been another Mexican port. I forget. But anyway, we had just been to Cozumel the previous year in 2019, leaving out of Galveston, and and I think it had Progreso. You've been to Progreso probably.
Yeah.
Costa Rica too. But I think from those 2 cities, from New Orleans and Galveston, you can pretty much just go to Mexico. And so when we booked 20, we were like, we don't want to do 2 Mexican ports again. So we were able to work out a deal where we were able to stop in Key West on the way to Cozumel. So that worked out great.
That was awesome. I love Key West. Of course, I love Jimmy Buffett anyway. So it's like there's a cool spirit in that town,
Yeah.
That was a great day.
It's such an early stop. That's the thing that always,
Yeah.
You can be gone by, right after lunch. But that's the city. I mean, that port, they don't like ships being in there in the afternoon because it blocks the sunset. Apparently, that's their thing.
That's their deal, huh?
But, yeah.
Is there a favorite port that you have that of all the years you've done it, is there one that you look at and you go, oh, this is going to be sweet?
Purely me, I like Grand Cayman just because I'm a scuba diver. Right. So, I mean, that to me is the best diving that there is, at a cruise port. I tell you, man, I think some of my favorite ones are the private islands, just because they're so chill.
Yeah.
And it's just you there. So, Norwegian's private island was great. We did that one year, I think, or 1 or 2 years. We might have done it back to back.
Is that Great Stirrup Cay?
Great Stirrup Cay, yeah.
God, that place is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. And then Carnival has Half Moon Cay, which is the one with the big pirate ship. You've probably been there too.
You're going there. That's going there next year, right?
I'm at
Yeah.
21. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's the private islands. I like. Again, I think our guests like them more because it's just us.
Right.
We're not having to deal with some port and getting. You go to Nassau, you go to Jamaica. You know how you get hit up. Yeah, he gets right get off the ship. So the private islands are just chill, and you can come and go from the ship quickly and easily if you want to go back on and grab something. But I don't know, man. We're the port we're going to in 21 in the Dominican Republic, Amber Cove, is by far the most beautiful port we've ever been to.
Awesome.
I mean, it's just exotic, and I guess there were some exterior shots or something somewhere along the line that they shot for one of the Jurassic Park movies or something. But it has that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And even if you don't want to leave the port, they've got one of the coolest port facilities that there is. I mean, there's cabanas on the water and a big, huge pool and a zip line that comes down over the whole facility. And but there's like a bazillion cool things to do on the island too. So, but I'm excited about that one.
Now,
but yeah, from a selfish standpoint, it's Cayman just because I want to dive.
Sure, I don't blame you. That's what you like. It's what you like. When you because you do this as your career, going to all these different ports and cruises and stuff like that. Do you ever vacation just personally? And if you do, like, do you go back to some of these places, or do you try to stay clear of the cruise vibe vacation?
Yeah, doing what we do doesn't suck, because we get to go see the ships, even when we're not doing our events. We like to sail on the ships that we do the cruises on, just to get to know the layout and the staff and that sort of thing. So we always sail on our ships, usually once or twice each year. Mm-hmm. And we kind of make those working vacations to a degree. I mean, I don't know if you've been on a regular cruise.
No, I've only done entertainment cruises.
They're not the same. Very slow compared to the music cruise. They're fun. I mean, but it's ironically enough, I don't know if it's something that I would normally do as a vacation.
Right.
Regular cruise, they're great. I mean, I'm not dogging them at all. I mean, they can be a lot of fun, especially with friends and family.
But it's a different vibe.
It's a very different vibe on a regular cruise. Yeah, it's a much more relaxed. I like to be up and moving around. I don't like to sit at the bar and drink, and I'm not a huge gambler, so and I don't want to sit by the pool and read a book. I'm not that guy. I'd rather be scuba diving or going out and doing different kind of fun stuff. So, but yeah, I have taken cruises as vacations. A couple summers ago, my son and I went on a 7-day regular cruise. Wow, that was long. And but we went it was the ports. It was about the ports. So we got to go to St. John, St. Thomas, and Puerto Rico, and Grand Turk. So it was fun. We did all kinds of stuff, zip line and jumping off waterfalls and snorkeling and that sort of thing.
I'd say it has to be cool to be in that atmosphere, though, even though it's a different vibe. But it has to be cool to be on the ship and not have to feel any kind of like responsibility, like or not having a radio with somebody hounding you. Hey, this is happening. This is happening. It's like
Yeah. Well, when the staff goes out on them, it's the weirdest thing because we're kind of there working, but we're not.
Right.
And every time we're on a regular ship, we enjoy it, but we're like, it feels weird not working, on the ship. Sometimes it is strange to not have that, radio and we look at schedules differently but a lot of times we're just I mean, we've stolen a ton of stuff from cruises over the years in terms of how they do things and whether it's events or silly activities or whatever. So a lot of times we're enjoying those cruises because we're wanting to experience them as a guest. And so we try to absorb and infuse as much of that as we can into our own programs. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I haven't been on a regular not cruise vacation in a while. So I don't know, man. I think for relaxing, I enjoy just kicking back with my kid. Last year I bought a boat. Hey, by the way, speaking of which, and just forgive everybody watching, anytime you guys come down to the Ville, man, I got a boat on Center Lake now.
I'm there.
Center Hill, if you guys want to come down and spend a day on the lake.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't buy myself a whole lot of stuff, but last year for Father's Day, I bought myself a pontoon boat, so I've got it.
Deserve it.
I like to go out with the kid and just chill on the lake.
I love it, man. Good for you. You got to do that every now and again, just to relax, So when you book cruises too, you guys have to go like hang. You have to kind of get the feel of the ship. Like you can't just walk onto the boat with guests and then how early do you all usually check it out and
Yeah, I mean we start researching ships a couple years in advance. And then we'll try to sail on them. Like the Magic I had sailed on, that was ironically enough the ship that my son and I went on a couple years ago. So I wanted my group I wanted the staff to see the ship. So we had a big, office outing and took a big long cruise together. And we looked at, it was pretty close to the ships we've been on. So it wasn't that different, but quite a bit of work goes into, we're already working on staging and lighting for 21 for the deck stage, because it's a little bit of a different space. And, so yeah, that part of it we start at probably 2 years in advance, and I mean then the actual event planning, for the stuff that happens on board, band scheduling. Obviously, we don't schedule until we have the lineup, but
right.
I mean that's months in advance. Last year was probably the earliest we had our schedule together prior to cruise, just because we've kind of gotten good at it now, where we can know how to schedule stuff out, but. I mean, looking at the ship itself and making sure the facility will work. And, on this ship being new and a new deck stage area, we really started playing around with different deck design ideas. And, this one has had a challenge because there's a couple of like hut things that we can't really move. So we're, figuring out how to work around those. And other ships, I mean, if we went to a Royal ship or back to an NCL ship or something, we would do the same thing in just terms of looking at that facility and, spending that much more time, trying to dial in how it's going to go. Mostly the deck theaters are all pretty close to the same. The venues are pretty close to the same, but we like getting on the ships and seeing there's different spaces that we may have never utilized before, or, we'll take a regular cruise and go, oh, that's cool, we could do that there. So, I mean, all that stuff happens well in advance, and then we'd start dialing it in usually 6 months to 3 months out is really the busy time. Our busiest time is probably the 3 months prior and the 3 months after.
Right.
It's that middle part of the year where, we're doing more research and discussion than real actual.
Yeah, and planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to name any names. Have you ever, on any of the boats you've done with bands, has there been a band that you just wanted to throw overboard because of just complete divaness?
I wouldn't say bands.
Or artists.
there may have been a member or two.
Yeah. I hear you.
And if some people watch this, they're going to think one person in particular, and they're wrong. But one or two. But honestly,
everybody's pretty chill most of the time.
I mean, you work in rock and roll, you see all kinds of stuff, and it doesn't phase you. I was a manager for 14 years, and there were probably crazier things that annoyed me more, working with different artists during that time. But no, there've been a couple, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. I would never not ask that particular band back because of it.
Right.
I would. There might have been a couple that wouldn't want to do it again, but probably just because of the seasickness part of it, more than anything else, not because of not enjoying the cruise itself.
Right.
But
I don't know how you could not enjoy it. I don't understand how you could not have a good time on there.
I'm working it and I love it. It's a fun thing that we do, and so we try to keep it fun. I think I watched some Disney documentary where they talked about we create fun, and that's kind of what our philosophy too is. We're just creating fun for everybody. So why not have fun?
I mean, when we did on this last one, we hosted that messy twister, and I was like, this is you take a game like this, but then you incorporate some kind of stuff to make it messy, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it literally is. You're creating these fun things. The bands are hosting them. The people are there. Everybody's having a good time. It's such a cool atmosphere,
Well, I tell you, I have one of the most unbelievable creative teams, and Heather Smith on our team is our head of our event. She puts all that stuff together. You should see the spreadsheet. We have a Google spreadsheet of event ideas, and it's grown over the years. And she's brilliant. She's the one who named the cruise too, by the way. You mentioned the name, but
we should do a walk the plank event. See how that goes over.
Yeah, the ship might not like as much
Yeah,
for that.
I don't think they'll like it.
We could do one on the pool though, maybe.
That could be.
But
cool.
yeah, but she's brilliant. I mean, she's fantastic, and just comes up with all kinds of amazing, fun stuff to do, like that Messy Twister. I thought was great.
It was great. Is there a band, be it new or classic, that if you had one band that you could, your dream band to book on a cruise, who do you think that would be?
It's probably the same as a lot of our guests. I mean, there's just bigger bands that, if you're a band and you're playing an arena, probably can't afford you for the cruise. I mean, there's a budget limit as much as it's gone up over the years, but
Sure.
Lord, I mean, I Iron Maiden, just because I'm a huge fan,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, old school Van Halen, if I could get them back together somehow. But I mean, there's all kinds of those types of acts. But honestly, I've been pretty pleased with the lineup from year to year. I always book one or two bands for me, and I say for me, they're bands I know that the guests would love. Maybe they just not a lot of them have heard of or whatever. But I think your first year you guys were on were one of them for me bands, because I don't, I mean, I knew who you were, but I wanted everybody that was going on our cruise to know.
Well, thank you.
But yeah, there's always a few bands that I just love, and they're usually smaller, younger, newer bands. But I mean, Living Color was one that I wanted one, and they've been on 3 times now. There's some other ones that I think it'd be awesome to have on. I'm, thinking back to my college days, like a Fishbone or a Bad Brains or something like that, just because I sort of like that kind of fun punk stuff. But man, I don't know. I'm such a junkie. It's like my list of who I wish I could have on the cruise would fill 10 lineups.
Right, and you guys work with agents too. A lot of people might think, does Alan sit in his house and call these bands up and say, "Hey, come be on the cruise"? No, it doesn't work that way. Although you did send me a text, but that's because we're buddies.
Well, some we do. I mean, some we do. We have relationships with bands that, just having worked in management for a number of years and met a lot of people over the years too. But again, bands that have done the cruise in the past, we might just reach out to and say, "Hey, you want to do it again?" But then we do the business part of it. We reach out and talk to the agents. But I use a buyer. I have a talent buyer who is the guy who really does all the, reach out and negotiation with the agents. But he and I are in constant contact. So I mean, it's, I let him do the busy work and the tough work of saying no. So sometimes I brought a buyer in because I think I was a bit of a pushover in the early years in terms of, what, that much more? Okay, fine.
Sure.
And, but everybody wants to get paid. It's business. I don't have a problem with it. But it was better for me to have somebody take over that part of it, just because I knew I needed to be doing other things. And
a funny story about you using a talent buyer. He usually comes on the cruise too, right?
Roger, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was the second time we had done Shiprocked. We were on those little I forgot what port we were in, but we were coming back to the boat on the little ferry boats, that were taking us to and from. And I'm sitting next to the guy, this guy that I didn't know, and we just struck up a conversation. He's like, "So you like being on the cruise?" And I said, "Oh, dude, this is great." And he's like, "Well, I like your band. I'm glad y'all are on here." And I said, "Hey, we're happy as hell to be on here." And we just kept talking, blah blah blah. And then right as we're getting back on the ship, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm so and so. I'm a talent buyer for Shiprocked. I help book you guys." And I was like, "Hey, thank you. I appreciate it." But it was super cool. Just a very an off the cuff conversation that that was not set up, and it wasn't all about business, because I didn't know that he helped put us there. So it was really cool, actually.
Yeah, Roger LeBlanc, his company's Madison Entertainment. He's just one of the good guys. He and I met. We shared an office space. Just strangely enough, in the early years, he was across the hall from me, and we went to lunch one day, and I was like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "I'm a talent buyer." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "I'm a promoter." I said, "You want to come work with me?" But he's great. He's a music guy, and just a all around good guy. And so yeah, he's been with me since the second or third year, I think. Third year, yeah. But he's good people, and he helps keep me, even keeled too, and but I really want that band. Yeah, but they're asking way too much. Okay.
Right, and you got it takes a village. I mean, you just like your staff. It's not like one guy can put all this together. It might come from one guy's brain, but then you need people to help facilitate that. And you've got a wonderful staff. Your crew. was so helpful and cool and fun, and they make that makes it more fun for the guests too, and
Thanks.
And from the artist standpoint, it just everybody was just super chill. The gear is at the stage where it needs to be every time, and a lot of people, those are the unsung heroes behind all this, really.
Absolutely, man. All the crew, everybody I'm blessed to have an amazing staff. I really am, and it's funny because they're all either former coworkers or friends. And even our seasonal staff is all just people that I've worked with in some way, or they've come on over the years, and it's pretty steady, same crew every year. But the production people that we work with are fantastic. And I came from management, and 3 of the other people on my staff were also in management before doing this. So I it's not just the guest vacation, it's the band vacation too. It's a working vacation, but we want all of our artists to feel like they're part of the family, and that they're, we don't want them to be stressed about, this or that, just like we don't want the guests to be. And obviously not being just a guest, the musicians have even more to have to, deal with when they're on the ship. So we want to try to make it as easy and as stress-free as possible for them too, because they're guests just like everybody else, and they're on vacation. So, but and again, having been in artist management, we know a little bit more about, I think, how to do that. So we take extra special care to make sure that everybody gets the bottle they want, gets the gets the gear they want.
That stuff goes along. You're not just businessmen. You understand both sides of the coin, and that goes a long way. And that's why you're successful, and that's why it's grown to the success that it has. It's just incredible. I'm not going to keep you long, but I do have 2 more questions. When you get on the boat, do you ever creep around at night in those bottom quarters under the ship that nobody knows exist?
Not at night, but I have been down there into the hole. They call it I-95. It's one big long hallway that, this. You've probably been down there too, but it's one big long hallway that stretches from the front to the back of the ship. They call I-95, and it's down there where all the crew live and all the crew bar, which I've still never been to. I have staff members of mine that have been to the crew bar, but I've never been.
Right.
But yeah, they have they have their whole little world down there. It's kind of cool. But
awesome.
Not late at night. I'm usually trying to get some sleep.
I say, you're a busy man. You're a busy man. You're probably hanging out. You hang out with the captain a lot. You get to go up there and like.
Yeah, no. We usually try to introduce ourselves at the beginning of the cruise, and then usually at the end of the cruise we try to. Oh, sorry, my clock's going on.
I do hope that you look the captain in the eye when you do meet the captain, and you do the old the thing that from the, what was the movie with Tom Hanks? I'm the captain now. You got to look at him. I'm the captain now.
What is it, Captain? Captain Phillips?
Phillips, yes.
Yeah.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah. No, I've never said I'm the captain now. I just said they call me the captain, but I know I defer to them. I said I know you're the real captain.
Yeah.
But no, we usually sometimes we'll take artists up to the bridge. We did that this last time actually. We had a couple that wanted to go see it, and so we usually try to meet the captain at the beginning, and then usually at the end we have a little package for him that we put together, to say thank you. But I've met I think all the captains that we've had, and sometimes it's really good to do that because some years it works out. We did Motorhead cruise, and I think it was 14 or 15, at least 15. There was a hurricane, and we were literally on the far outer bands of the thing, and it got real choppy. And Motorhead was playing that night, and Lemmy being 70, whatever he was at the time,
right.
And walking with a cane, we thought, oh my God, we don't want Lemmy falling over in the middle of a show.
Right, absolutely.
So we went to the captain. We said, hey, what can we do? I know it's wavy, but he goes, well, I can put the stabilizers out and we can speed it up a little bit. He goes, that'll take some of the edge off. Stabilizers are those wings that come out under the water that, but you have to speed up the ship to do that. And so I said, okay, do that. And sure enough, man, he did. And Lemmy kind of moved a little, but and his guy was behind him the whole time, just
right,
hoping.
Sure.
Yeah, but so sometimes it's nice to have good relationships with the captain, so you can go, hey man, move around that cloud, so that we don't get rained on. Probably every year we have some point during the cruise where we call up to the bridge to say, hey, can we veer a little bit,
right.
turn again some other way so it's not so windy, and they're usually very cool about doing all that stuff. So
yeah. Well, that's much appreciated on
Yeah, of course.
all the guest part. Okay, and so before I let you go, Shiprock 2021, anything, any hints you can give the incredible fans out there what to expect? Not, it doesn't have to be about the bands. But just about the boat. What is something new that they can because I know everybody's so excited, about it already. Like you said, people need to look forward to something. So
yeah, it's we're on the Carnival Magic, which is a little bit bigger than the ship we've been on the last few years, and because of that, the deck stage is, I think, a much cooler area. It doesn't have the amphitheater thing like we had on the last one, but 3 decks, and there's no bad views from anywhere. Bigger space down on the floor. So it's not quite as crowded down there. Won't be quite as crowded down there. Easier to get to the bars up there. There's just all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, the spa's cooler. It's got a big ropes course.
Sweet.
A bigger water park area. Probably the coolest thing about this ship is the promenade. It's not, Carnival promenades kind of go down the one side. This one kind of snakes through the middle, and there's an area called Ocean Plaza on this ship where they kind of move the casino stage further away from the casino, and it sits a little further down the hall. And it's just a cool area. There's a barbecue place outside on the outer part of the deck, and
nice.
The Red Frog pub is just right behind it with all kinds of food they have in this one. They didn't have food in the other one, but I think there's a Italian restaurant on this one that the other ones haven't had. So anyway, there's a lot more extra ship stuff.
Right.
And there's there's a whole bunch of different categories of cabins that are really pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any good lineup hints or anything yet. We're still working on that. It's slow going, I mean,
sure.
Again, that uncertainty, but we're getting there.
Well, you all have developed such a reputation that I can guarantee you that 99% of bands that you call up and ask to do it are gonna say yes. So
I hope we've had some already say no because there's the concern over everything. But that's okay. We'll there's some that don't want to do it because they just don't want to do a cruise.
Right.
I mean, there's there are 2 or 3 bands that I know a lot of our guests would really love to see. They just don't want to do it.
Right.
They just don't want to be on a ship, or others that get super seasick and just, and then some that takes us a while. It took us a couple of years to get Jacoby to come along because he was concerned, I think, about the seasickness. They've done it 3 times now.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a little longer to educate.
Absolutely. Well, we're free in January. I'm teasing. Hey, man, thank you so much for taking your time to do this. I really appreciate it, and I know all the Shiprock fans out there absolutely love you for creating this thing that they can look forward to, and it's literally become a family. There's no to what we can see anyway. There's no fights and fuss on this boat. Everybody's there to respect each other, have a good time, and that's what everybody loves about it. So.
It's true, man. They're an amazing group of people, and it's been amazing having you in the family too. All the bands that we have on every year, we consider part of the family, and especially those that get it and want to do it more. And yeah, we haven't had any trouble really. I mean, ironically enough, I think the worst trouble we ever had was from a crew guy many years ago.
Right.
But it was drunk. So. Yeah. Stuff like that happens. But no, we've not had any real issues at all. So
that's great. Well,
it's a cool group of people who love to be there, and we've loved having you guys be there too.
Well, it's an absolute honor. Anytime we are there, and thank you again, Alan, for your time. And thank you to all the Shiprock family for making this something cool that we could talk about. So I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, you too, man. Hey, dig your place.
Hey, thank you. It's kind of messy back here, but I dug your clock bells.
Thanks. All right, man.
I'll holler at you, buddy. Have a good one.
All right. You too.